In this training, we're going to go through how to do pending claims in the ClinicDr application. So we're going to start from the scheduler, which is your jumping off point when you log into ClinicDr, and go into the billing menu. Our claim folder will expand to show the different claim folders within the ClinicDr billing menu. We're going to go into pending claims. This is where claims will congregate once the fee slip has been saved from the provider treatment note. You can see here we have 18 claims and they all have some fatal errors. And so if you click on the red circle with the white X, that will list what the specific fatal error is for the claim. And so you can identify what steps are needed to get that claim submittable. All right, so with this one, we're going to go ahead and edit the claim to go through and put in our diagnostic pointers and get this ready to bill. So you can either click directly on edit or you can right click and open it in a new tab. With the open a new tab function, you can keep your pending claims open so you can work over multiple claims without having to refresh your page. All right, so a couple of basic steps when getting a claim ready to submit to insurance. First of all is just to start by selecting the dropdown for the payer and choosing the patient's insurance. If they have multiple active insurances, you'll see both or the multiple payers listed here with the corresponding billing order according to the patient's insurance information. So we'll click this payer. Now with this test patient that we have set up in our demo clinic environment, this one is set up like a PI payer. So we're going to go ahead and set this claim up as if it were a personal injury claim. And then we'll go ahead and do another claim as if it were a network or a Medicare patient. So with a personal injury claim, there's a couple of differences in the claim setup when compared to a network insurance or a Medicare patient. The first difference is in box 10 for patient condition related to. So we're going to indicate that this is an auto accident, and then we're going to indicate the state that the accident occurred in. Next, we're going to go down to box 14 and make sure that this date of injury coincides with when the accident actually occurred. And then underneath, we're going to choose qualifier 439 to indicate that it was an accident date that this date of injury relates to. So scrolling down here, assuming that this is a chiropractic claim and not a medical claim under a nurse practitioner, an MD, or a PA, we don't need to do box 17 or 17B for a referring provider unless you have a specific payer that does require that. So we're going to skip down to box 24 for our procedural information, and this is where we can set up diagnosis pointers. So we hit edit to open up the procedural screen, and this is where you can select any specific modifiers that should be applied for the service, and then any diagnosis pointers that we'd like to have pointed for this specific procedure. All right, so we're going to indicate that this extremity adjustment is related to pain in the right knee, and we're going to go ahead and save. So as soon as you're done with all of your corresponding claim changes, you can go ahead and hit save. And then as soon as you're done with the claim and making any necessary changes to the claim, then that claim would be ready to bill. So we're going to change the provider on this one because our warning had indicated that we didn't have appropriate provider information. So now when we go back to our pending claim folder, notice that we no longer have any fatal error messages on here. And so at this point in time, if we wanted to, we could go ahead and submit this to ClinicDr for billing. So we'll click the little box next to the claim and choose to submit that claim to ClinicDr. If this were a cash claim, we would send to complete. Another option you have in the ClinicDr pending folder is to send to ClinicDr claim assembly. So this is an option for clinics that either aren't comfortable or feel like they know how to bill a certain procedure or to a specific payer and would like ClinicDr to go ahead and assemble that claim on their behalf. It's a service that's available with our billing services product, and there is an additional fee based on the provider type. So we'll go ahead and select to send this to ClinicDr. And we get a confirmation that that was submitted successfully. Note that if I drop open my different folder options, that is in the claim submitted. So from this page, I can still choose to pull this claim back. So if it was submitted in error, I can send it back to the clinic pending folder, once it gets to this claims in process, it can't be sent back anymore because that one is getting ready then to be submitted to insurance. So going back to our pending claims folder now, since we've done an example for a personal injury type claim, now we can move on and do a network or a Medicare claim example. Okay, so next we'll do a network patient example. We'll go ahead and edit this one for Lizzie Training. And with this one, we can drop down and indicate the payer. In this example, the patient actually has multiple active insurances set up. So we'll go ahead and go down to box 9 and select the payer that they have in their insured information noted as billing order 2 for their secondary. Now, being that we're setting this one up as a network insurance claim, for box 10, we can leave this as not applicable because it's not related to an accident. And with box 14, we just need to make sure that this date of service is on or before the treatment date. It doesn't have to be the day of a specific accident since it's not accident related. And we can leave our qualifier at 431. So being that this is a chiropractic claim, again, we are able to skip 17 and 17B unless you have a specific payer that requires it, but normally with chiropractic, they do not. And we'll go down to 24 and edit our procedure, select any desired modifiers, and do our diagnostic pointers. Now with chiropractic coding in general, whenever you're doing a spinal adjustment, I recommend with network and Medicare, starting with the subluxation code. That's always good practice and what Medicare likes. And typically the networks follow suit. And then follow with the supporting code. If you are doing a 3 to 4 region adjustment, then following with the additional areas adjusted with the M99 subluxation codes is good practice. So being that we just did a 1 to 2 region adjustment with this code, we're just going to add in 1 region and supporting code. Down below, you do have the ability to add in additional unassigned diagnosis codes, which means if the patient does have additional conditions related to their care, but are not necessarily pointed to their service, or you've run out of pointer room to the 4 pointer per procedure limit, this is where you can add in additional codes as desired. So we'll get to the bottom and save. And then now when we go back to the clinic's pending claims folder, we'll be able to see if this one is ready to go. Got an issue with the provider NPI number. So what that's relating to is actually just the provider and support page. If you do have missing NPI content, you can come in here and address that. For our example, we're just going to go ahead and select a different provider, assuming that a different provider who has a valid NPI number did perform this service. All right, and that completes our claim training on ClinicDr. If you have any specific coding questions, feel free to always contact your ClinicDr account manager and they'd be happy to answer your questions.